Welcome, everybody. Welcome to you guys are watching Explain Yourself. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Benjamin Morse. Ben, how are you today?
Doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Before we get into the show, we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some comic books that are in pre-order right now. We wanted to make sure that you guys are grabbing yourself. This one is Greylock. You guys can head on over to your favorite LCS. This is the January, the code for I believe that is previews, which is JAN 241939, and you guys can grab this one. This is in shops March 13th, 2024. The Greylock issue 3 from our pal of the show, Eli Shockey. So make sure you guys are doing that today, and we'll be talking to you guys a little bit more about archetypes, but you guys can check out archetypes at geekcollective.net/archetypes, and we'll get you guys right back into the show. We're going to be talking to Corissa Grant here about her really awesome stuff here right after this intro. Ben, play that intro, please.
I love that
intro. How's it going? We're happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Fantastic.
I can't even remember what I was on before, and I can't remember what issue it was.
Well, you got 1 through 8, so there's a lot of issues it could have been.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In 1 year's time, we got 7 out, and our 1 year was October. So in 14 months, we got 8 out. Actually, I have 2 other ones that are side, a prequel issue 1 and a spinoff issue 1. So technically, I had 9 out, but I don't count those.
Well, that is a lot more than I put out in a year. So, but before you continue bragging about how many more comics you've gotten done than me, which I'm feeling a little bad about. Tell us a little bit about Redemption, just the series itself, and then the current issue.
So the series itself, last year was book 1. And for anyone to know, the genre is like everything. Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural in Silent Hill and the Resident Evil world with Good Omens, The Crow, Evil Dead, all thrown in. It follows Angel Descendant, Seraphina, and Demon Descendant Draven as they travel through, they are soulmates. They live in each life, but they never have a memory. So something specific happened last time, which changed this life. And because of that, the angelic weapon that she was created out of is now out of her, and their fathers, an angel and demon, are after her. Because if they can get their hands on the angelic weapon, it can tip the scales of the war between heaven and hell in their favor. The problem is it requires Seraphina's soul to activate it, which means she will never be reincarnated ever again or have an afterlife. So she's not particularly thrilled about that. So issues 1 through 7 took place in like a Silent Hill kind of town. The town merged with hell, and they kind of tried to survive against zombies and ghosts and vampires and hellhounds and all that stuff. Issue 8 is chapter 1 of book 2, and now they're in a haunted asylum that is taken over by ghosts. Which is also overrun with zombie mental patients and giant salamanders. So it's 5 issues long for this book, and it's pretty much them trying to survive and get out of this asylum.
Very cool. So kind of like a survival horror. You mentioned Resident Evil in your description. That's
Yeah.
kind of what it
Yeah.
brings to mind for me.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, it's inspired from Resident Evil 2 and book 3, which is going to be, obviously right after, which is 10 issues long. That's pretty much Resident Evil 2 as they get out of this and go into a zombie infested city where they try to get out. So yeah, it's very inspired by survival horror, which is my favorite. So if I can ever get a game one day, that would be it. So.
Very cool. So this obviously is a series you've been working on for a long time, or for a year or so, but has a lot of issues already done. Are you working with a lot of different artists? Do you have the same team on each book?
Same team on each. Well, so 1 through 7 was my artist, Jonas DeCosta, who did everything. The poor bastard. He did pencil, ink, color, lettering, everything. So I thought I'd give him a break. And now I have a new colorist, Matt Chambers, who does amazing work that makes it look very HD. And we have a letterer, SK, who's absolutely phenomenal. He puts so much emotion behind the words and the balloons and everything. He's really amazing. So it really leveled up the comic. And my artist is thrilled. He did not like doing either one of those. It was a lot more work for him. And I thought he was fast before, and now he's even more fast. So he pretty much pencils and inks an issue per month, and they're generally 28 to 40 pages. So they are not they're not small issues. I think in the 7 and the 8 issues we've had, the shortest was 24, which is issue 5. The rest have all been 28 to 35. Issue 7 and issue 7 and 12 are both 40 pages. 8 is 32. And the rest, I think I accomplished 28. 28 is my goal, and it barely ever works out. But the series is it's still being written. But currently there's over 100 issues written for the series. 45 is this series. So if it wasn't popular, or I felt like it was time to end it or whatever, I would end it at 45. And then series 2 is another 45 already written, so I can always end it there. And then 3, we just started. We're 1 book in. And then series 4 is a war between everybody. Hi to everybody, just popped all in. But yeah, it's a long series.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've got a pretty big story mapped out here.
Yeah, and there's a prequel too, where they lived in a past lives. You can see what caused this to happen, and how their guardian angel was tricked and screwed them over, how their fathers met and started a war and all this stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of lore to it. There's a lot of background to it. It's obviously got a lot of passion behind it. And for anyone that doesn't know, the story was, I wrote the story, and I write for almost all the characters except for Draven. Draven is written by my co-writer, Jess, who writes all of the thoughts and speech for Draven. So when you're reading it, it gives the 2 characters completely different personalities. So you get to experience. Okay. Yeah. You can tell they're different.
But I've never heard of anyone doing that.
Well, what happened was we wrote this as role players. So in 3 years' time, we wrote the 100 issues. We surpassed 1 million words in the story, 6 months ago. It was not intended to be a comic book or anything for that matter. We just kind of went off the rails with the story. And then I was like, who wants to waste this great story? So here we are.
Very cool. And if your artist is able to work that fast, I'm certainly not able to draw stuff that fast.
Oh, we're already halfway through issue 12. So we are always far ahead. And just since this is on the screen, this cover is by Jeremy Rampak, who worked for DC, Marvel, IDW, Blizzard, Capcom, the interior artist for Injustice. But the reason why I hired him and spent all that money was because he did the interior art for Resident Evil, the comic book. So I had to have him draw something. Just like my next comic, issue 9 is the artist for the interiors for Buffy's comic, Carl Moline. And I have Kevin Sharp, the artist for Army of Darkness comic, and he does issue 11. So I'm still trying to find Supernatural. I found one, but he keeps saying he's busy. I'm like, I have 100 issues. Just put me on some damn list. But yeah, and I tried Silent Hill and I never heard back. I wanted Terry Jones to do it and never heard back from him either. But Yeah, this is and it's colored by Dave Kemp, who worked on Spider-Man and Spawn and all that cool
I
stuff.
was gonna say the colors on this, both the drawing and the colors on this cover are just really top notch,
It's
and
yeah,
it's very just a lot of impact. It's really, it doesn't look dated, but it's got that like Image Comics in the '90s energy or sort of early 2000s, which is really cool. And I've had to draw Egyptian characters, like stuff like that, for another comic I did 10, 15 years ago. It's really hard. At least I found it to be the case to get all those. They're kind of weird monsters. They're
yeah.
like, they're tough to get right, and this looks awesome. So I was very enamored of this
I
cover.
am so impressed by this. It was expensive, and I panicked because, to be honest with you, I looked up all the artists for Resident Evil, and there was like 3 names, and it doesn't tell you who does what. So I was like, please be the one that I really wanted. They're all good, but like one of them has a blockier style. That's obviously it's amazing, but wasn't the type I wanted, and I had to pay this guy first and be like, well, here's my money. But it turned out so amazing that I actually had him do the cover for the next hardcover too. And he
Cool.
puts so much detail in it and so much like action to it. Like the next one's even more. I mean, it has Draven and Seraphina fighting the zombies with the Hellhound and Anubis fighting the giant salamanders, and then in the sky in front of the asylum is the angel and demon in the sky fighting with swords. So it was a lot. He's like, I think it's too busy, and I was like, no, it is awesome. So I'm really excited about that. And CC Dela Cruz is coloring them for the hardcover from Lady Death Universe. So
okay, yeah, I think I've heard that name before.
Yeah, she did the cover. I don't know if, hold on, I've got my character Legos here, so hold on. They did the.
Oh shoot! There we go. Sorry about that. Trying to make you solo.
I was like, fine, don't see it. But our hardcover 1 through 7, Ken Hunt from DC, Batman, Superman, all that. And CC Dela Cruz colored and drew the front and back of our hardcover. And this is my most popular cover. Or was, I don't know. Jeremy's catching up. But so this was our cover, and they did an amazing job on that. And since you have me up, this is the metal of the cover that you're looking at.
Nice.
Yeah, they just showed up, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, so it looks really good. I'm really excited about it. But I charge more for it because it cost me like 5 times more than any of my other covers. So I didn't think they would sell that much. And they're selling more. This is the first time that, usually people just buy, the general cover for $10 and just, whatever. Nope. They all want this cover. So
well, it's a great cover, not to knock the other ones at all, but it is a nice looking cover. Yeah. Tell us a little bit, and Joey might have some stuff to ask you about this too, but you've obviously put a lot of thought into the types of rewards you're offering. You've got some plushies, you've got a lot of different covers, you've got the metal covers. Take us through kind of what made you decide to do those things, and if you've done them before, kind of what response you've seen from that.
So the reason why I have so much merch, and I've been asked this since day one, I wanted it. And selling it to you makes it tax deductible. So there you go. That is why I get one of everything. So I am thrilled. But plushies it was like a last minute thing. I was at a con in this, Down Home Textiles. She was there with her amazing plushies. And I was like, do you ever do commissions? And she's like, no, I've never done a commission, but I can. And I was like, yeah, let's work on that. And I've just become obsessed, and she's done probably 15 so far. One of the ones I'm holding is the Hellhound Croc, who is very popular. He's adorable, very soft. He has a broken horn, but he's one of my favorite. And he sold out last time. This time we have a new one. We have a couple of new ones actually, but I don't know if you could see his little hairs. So he's got these little hairs that stick out. Yeah, because they were that's what my artist did. He thought to torture everyone and put little hairs in the zombies. So the thing about our little zombie here, he's in a straitjacket, which he tore it apart, so it's fringed on the end. But it is a working straitjacket. These work. I don't suggest taking them on and off, but you can take his shirt off. The little buckles work. But the reason why they're pre-ordered is because you can embroider any number you want in the back. This is my birthday, and what I've been telling people is they could put their birthday on there, or they could put the birthday of somebody that drives them crazy So that is their own zombie patient. And then this is also a pre-order. This is our first commercially released one. They have been ordered, but they have not shipped yet. They're probably shipping this week. But it's very detailed. You can see the claws and the bands on the hand and everything. I mean, he looks perfect to the his picture, and he's got embroidered eyes and all that stuff.
So I'm curious to know what kind of return on investment you're having with these different things, because I see, looking through the campaign, you have quite a bit of swag, which is great for, like, if you're at a trade show and you have things on the table, and you have to actually have them on hand. So how is that how you're doing it? That's just, you're sustaining this by having it all on hand?
Yeah, I don't like to have anything available. I try to have nothing available that I don't have in hand. Now the pre-orders I make sure everyone realizes these are pre-orders, and the only reason why I put them up was because everyone wanted them. Normally I just buy 3. I buy one for me, one for my co-writer, and I sell one. So I don't usually have a ton on hand. And then if they sell out, like, he's sold out. I usually have 2 per issue because he sells out. He's my skeleton bird. He's from issue 3, but people love him. And so yeah, he's been selling out. So I got 2 more on there.
And what's
And
the turnaround for when you put an order in to get these made?
It really depends if she has shows or not. Generally she can get me to that. She can get in. Well, this is a huge order because I ordered. So funny story. I was supposed to have 2 of these available. My mother, who doesn't like horror, doesn't read the comic, thought it was the cutest thing, and she ordered one. So now I only have 1 available. But yeah, she loved it. And the straitjacket is hand dyed, stained by her. But this time was my biggest order. I had 2 of these, 3 of these, which are huge. He's got a funky tail. But he's huge. I think I got 3 of these, and these aren't available yet, but I'll show off anyway. For issue 10, we introduce our vampire chameleon bats. He's chatty. He has a wire in his tail and in his bat wings.
So how many of these do you sell during each campaign?
Usually I sell out most of them. Usually people buy them, and I don't know, this one went up so quick, so I don't know. I know everyone's getting the pre-order ones this time because they're so cool. So but we'll see. The one that there's one person usually gets plushies. She hasn't come up yet, but everyone loves the pre-order. For 10, the pre-order for Chatty, you can pick your own 2 colors too. So there's that. So I've never done pre-orders for the.
Are you finding more success with the pre-order?
Yeah, like I've sold a bunch already. There you can do for Anubis, you can do just a tier with no comic, because I'm on a lot of Anubis sites and they just want the plushie. So there's tiers available that a couple have ordered, and they're also as an add-on. So people can get the add-on too. Then the zombie is also a tier with the comic, or you can get it as an add-on. And these guys don't go in the add-ons, but if there's something somebody wants, I'll make a tier for them. Like I think last campaign, someone wanted one of the tiers had a t-shirt and 2 plushies she wanted. So I just put them all together for her, and she just, bought it as an add-on. So it worked out really well. But yeah, they sell really well. And if they don't, I only have 1 left because I only buy 1 for them. I do like the plushie idea, but the pre-order, but I don't like to make people wait. It actually kind of bothers me. Like when my campaigns end, generally I ship out the day of or the day after. Now I'm hoping I could do that this time. The tricky part is they raise their price a lot. Comic Wellsprings, like I normally would pay $4.50 an issue, and now it's $6.50. So if I get expedited, which is what I used to get. So what I had to do was I had to get more issues because you get a price break, and I couldn't do expedited, which means I ordered them 2 weeks ago, and I'm hoping they'll be here on time, and we'll see. But I had to order. I ordered 9 different issues. I ordered issue 8, 9, and 10, and 3 covers of each. So for the next campaigns, I'll already have them on hand, but this one will. I'm hoping we'll have them on hand. We'll see. So I hate making people wait because I'm impatient. I just want to do. I don't know how these. I'm in a lot of creator groups, and they're just like, I don't know how you get them out on like so fast. I was like, I don't know how you wait so long. I get anxiety not having them sent out, so it drives me crazy. So yeah.
There you go.
Plus, I also have a campaign every other month, so if I don't get it out soon, they won't be able to read it before the next one comes out. So there's that too.
There's that, yeah. I mean, I've found it really depends. It sounds like you've got a really good system with Comics Wellspring, and you also have so many books. Somebody was telling me on one of our creator discords that if you, it doesn't have to be the same book that you're printing, which I would have thought you need to be. Okay, I've got issue 8, this cover. If I have 200 of those, that gets me the price break. But they've actually been telling me that if you have this book, another book, even if you bundle several books together, they'll give you the price break at some point with however many books you're printing, whether they're different or not. Which
I don't know
to hear,
why they do it, really but it's a lifesaver. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense either. And the weird thing is you got to be careful because it's like 251 and you get the discount. Yeah. So there's like always one after, like it's 501 or 701. So it's always the one extra. So you wouldn't think so, but someone told me that and I was like, well, snap. It's good to know. Yeah,
because we've been talking about a couple of creators. We were thinking like, well, let's if we can work it out, print all our books in one order and see if we can work out that price break to make it a little easier because their prices I know went up this year. I'm probably thinking that's going to be something you see at most printers domestically as well. So
yeah, but I wish they had warned us. And I think it's an error. And I wrote to them and they said they have to look into it because the CEO, whoever wasn't there. But their trading cards went from 25 of them for $10 to 25 for 25. And I wrote to them and I said, "Is that the real price?" Because no offense, but I get that's $1 each. I get metal cards for $1.44. So I don't know why you would think that I would buy yours for $1. So I didn't buy any. Usually I buy trading cards because they're really good for stretch goals and
people love them. People are crazy over cards.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'd rather sell them. The metal cards sell really well.
Really,
and so I've been
we might have to connect with you to get that person's because those metal cards, that's a really great price. So I have a print partner that's out here in Arizona and they have some really great prices and things of that nature, but it's I have to talk with them and see what kind of deals they got going on now because it's been quite some time since they changed their prices.
Is that Fairy?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is that Fairy? I know it's Fairy Metal. I don't.
No.
Oh, because I've heard amazing things for them, and this is going to sound really petty. I don't like to have to talk to somebody or connect with somebody to get a price. I just want to order it. So the two companies that I use, I just have to order it. I heard Fairy Metal's amazing. I just you have to email them and ask for pricing, and I'm not doing that. That sounds like a lot of work. I'm like the laziest hard work you'll find. I'm not doing it.
Well, I personally know this person and I just message them over Facebook and send them the files. So I'm just like, here's my files this month, man. They're like, all right, we'll have it done this time. I'm like, cool. So nice. But
that's the best thing you can have is if you have somebody you can talk to, because that's the problem I've had with printers is like they're just not gonna like. I was going back and forth on trying to get my type centered in my cover, which is not a big on a hardback, so it's a little more complicated. But they were like, "Yeah, that's really hard to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is not a fringe request. This is a pretty normal thing." So if you have somebody you can talk to and say, "Hey, just let me know how to do this," that's I think the best thing to have.
I have to say, now I'll be totally honest with you. Comic Wellspring screws up a lot. They really do. But they have always fixed it and they always get right back to you. So I went through a huge ideal with them when I first started that everything got screwed up and everything. And I still stick with them because I like the quality, they're fast, and they get back to me. The hardcover was a new printer. And I did not know what to expect because I had to buy 500. 500.
Yeah.
But I really wanted a hardcover, and that was the only way I could afford it, was to get so many. So I mean, I got yelled at twice in the last week for selling them too cheap. I was like, that's the first.
So how are you? So you do you have a lot of black backstock, because you're printing all those books, and are you, I mean, obviously, are you getting 500 people purchasing these things through Kickstarter?
Nope, not yet. I just started, so it's gonna take a while, but I think I sold about 100 already. So that was pretty impressive for me. I was happy with that. I didn't expect people to buy the hardcover, because everyone has, but it actually worked out really well, because people are buying, they're buying actually a lot this issue too, because they can get 1 through 7 for $40, and then issue 8 for 10, and then you're done. You
And
got
they're all done. You guys are getting them as soon as you order them, because they're all right there, ready to go.
Yes, they're all in stock, man. They're not taking as much room as I thought. I mean, I thought I was gonna need like a warehouse, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have about 6 boxes left, and it takes up 2 whole shelves back there. So it's not the worst, but one day that shelf's gonna fall. I don't know how it's holding all those, but you hear a loud crash, then it did not last. But yeah.
Yeah, I really liked the idea of having a hardcover. I'm gonna have a few extra, it turns out, from Scarlet Twilight, but it was a real ordeal just going back and forth, because the printer I was working with didn't have a spec sheet set up for that you could follow, and which makes sense, because your spine width is going to be different depending on your page count, and that was a real learning curve for me. Just to get the file set up for them, because
usually they should at least let you know, okay, how many pages, and then they have an idea of what it's going to be. They know that everything's, I mean, come on, everything's only divisible by 4, right? Right? Yeah. So it's like it's not that bad, that hard to understand.
If I think Comic Springs Well shows you the math of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not,
it was like,
also not that difficult to figure out. Okay, what it was 100 something page. Okay, that's gonna be about
My printer actually, I was worried about the spine. My printer actually just did it. They're just like, send in a file and we'll change the measurements for you, which was great. But I told my artist that no matter what happens on this planet, he has to make sure he saves the spine so that they all match and I don't get killed. Because I've always heard how bad it is if the spine doesn't.
People hate that.
Match.
People hate that.
Yeah.
Every I'd say once a month I see somebody posting a picture on Twitter of like their Marvel whatever collection. They've got all the Daredevils from #1, and then like
there's that one
halfway through it, they switch designs for no reason at all.
Yeah, I'm not switching design. I'm hoping that that because the book 5 is only book 2 is only 5 issues, so it's a little bit thinner. So hopefully that doesn't screw up the measurements. And then book 3 is 10 issues, and then 4 through 5 are, I think, 12 through 15. So there's,
I think it would be fun to do something with the spine, like in it, like if everything's the
box set will have one big picture. Yeah.
If it was thicker, right? It would. If the spines were a little bit thicker, you have a little bit more real estate to do something on there. So I think that would. Right,
yeah, I'm hoping
rather than doing like a 48 page and then like having all those spines, trying to fit all those little tiny spines.
Yeah, well, this is true. My hardcover, this one's 222 pages, and the second book is 160 plus 20 pages of extra, and then book 3 is going to be whatever the hell 10 freaking how 10 freaking issues are going to be. But I'm hoping when I release, if I get to the point where I can release a box set, there's 2 things I want to do. I don't know if the spine's possible, but I want the pictures. I want a picture that all the spines line up and you can have it be a picture, but I also want the covers to create one big picture when you put them next to each other. Yeah. So those are the things I want to do a box set. And if it becomes popular enough that I want to go back and recolor and re-letter the entire book 1 for the box set. So, yeah, we'll see how that turns. It depends really how my readers are, how many I've got, because obviously that's going to be like $4,000 to do that. So we'll see how that works out. But I really would like to get that done. But I'm not going to do it till book 5 because I'm hoping that everyone sticks around for those. But I don't know. I mean, My artist says that he'll do it as long as he's breathing. So he loves the story. He gets withdrawals. I told him to take a couple weeks off for Christmas, and he's like, I can't go long without drawing this. And I was like, all right, well, so here we are. He went away for a month, and he like, my husband said, don't bother him the whole time, leave him alone. I was like, all right, fine. And so I didn't message him at all. Then 2 weeks in, he messages me, he goes, I really missed drawing the story. And I was like, have fun. He's like, I'm counting the days. And then like every 5 days, it's almost time. And then he gets back and he's like, I forgot there's a wedding and I got to wait 4 more days. I was like, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
So, and we were having withdrawals, not getting pages. So it was, it wasn't easy for us either. It's like a drug, Yeah. I love getting paid. He doesn't work on the weekends. Everyone made me ruin weekends for me because I got to wait till like Monday to get new pages. And I was like, come on. Really? So yeah.
Well, yeah, when you create these characters, especially, and you said you kind of developed this with a friend in a game context, kind of
role playing.
Yeah. I mean, when you've lived with these characters for a long time, it makes it kind of hard to write the story in some cases because you just know more than you're assuming the reader does. You have to do a lot of exposition. Oh, there you go.
I don't write it. The characters do. I have no idea what's going on. Everyone's like, what's your writing process? I was like, I sit down. And then whatever gets typed, it gets typed. So sometimes it's 2,000 words, sometimes it's 6,000. So it really depends on however I write that much that day. But generally, I have no idea what I'm going to write. I have a generalized direction that barely ever goes that way. But no one knows what I'm going to write. So I write it, send it to my co-writer. My co-writer writes Draven's point of view of it. And I move on to the next chapter. So
it's really interesting.
So what is tell us what is your process from concept to shelf?
So generally, so we jump around a lot. When we did book 1, we jumped we had 3 different scenarios and 3 different issues and 3 different books. Like I would get an idea and I was like, oh, I want to do this now, and then we'd have to write that out now. And then we the fun part is trying to connect them without destroying anything. And then we're kind of doing it now for series 2, but since I already wrote the first book for series 3, my co-writer is catching up. So I think we're down to 1 more chapter she has to write before we're completely done with series 2. So pretty much I get a generalized idea. I ask my co-writer, if they like it or, their thoughts on it. And then we kind of hash it out. Do we need changing? What do you want to do? Because while I'm writing, I'm technically controlling Draven, but I can't talk or speak for him or anything for him. So what I do is my character will write, talk to him, and then I don't have any idea what Draven's going to say until I get the chapter back. And then when I'm doing comics, I can counter it more. Like I can put them together and be like, oh, my character would say this back to that, because we don't go always back and forth. So generally we write chapters and then I convert them to scripts, which is pretty easy to convert, but you just have to go through and get all the dialogue out first so you can put them together and go like that. But yeah, so that's it. Generally, I'll tell you, most of my ideas come from dreams. I'll wake up and it's like, oh, that's awesome, and then I'll go write it. I used to write.
I do that too. I literally just reach over, grab my phone, and put it up.
Yeah. Like I've gotten up at so I only get 4 hours of sleep. 5 is a good extra time, but so generally I'll wake up around. It sucks when it's 1:30, but usually I could sleep till 3:30. I go to bed at 10. I wake up at 3:30, and that's when I'm sitting there because I don't want to get out of bed. So I'm sitting there for 3 hours, and then I'm thinking about the story and developing the ideas. And then as soon as I get my lazy butt up, I go and write it. But yeah, most of the time it's from a dream or something. And sometimes I'll write. I always tell this story. So there was one time in book 5 that I was writing this scene and I had no idea where it was going, more so than usual. Usually I don't know, but this was I was writing and I was like, this makes no sense. I don't know what I'm writing. I got to start over. And then my inner voice is like, no, just keep writing. You'll get there. I was like, this makes no sense. I was 2,000 words in. I was like, I'm starting over. And no, don't start over. Just keep writing. So I wrote it and it wound up being one of the coolest scenes I wrote. And I sent it to my co-writer and my co-writer's like, where the hell did that come from? I was like, I don't know. And she's like, I can't wait to see what happens. Me neither. I have no idea what was going to happen. So that was one time that I actually fought with the character in my head to be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. but usually it's not that complicated. But yeah, so I really don't have a process I sit down and write. So no outlines, no nothing.
Wow, so it's kind of almost like an improv sort of
Yeah.
process with you and the other person you write with. That's cool.
Yeah, it's I've never had I've never had to really think much, fortunately, or have a block or anything, but sometimes I'll get a thought that I just didn't. Especially for book 2 or series 2, I had no idea what the ending for issue or book 5 was going to be, and then I woke up and I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen. I got up and I wrote 10,000 words, and it was awesome. And I'm biased, but it was awesome. And then I didn't know how the next book was going to start. So literally the next night I woke up, I was like, oh, that's the perfect way to start it. And now I just finished that book, book 1 of series 3. So yeah, I know the lore. I know the, like, what's going to happen generally. Like, for series 3, they're searching for the gems to activate the weapon that they got destroyed during something. Book 4 is the war between, Hecate and Hades and the Greek gods that team up with the Egyptian gods, that team up with my characters against both demons and angels from heaven and hell. So I know that's all I know that series 4 is going to be. I have no idea what else is going to happen or how they connect, and when I won't know until I start writing. So,
well, see, that would, I think, get a lot of problems I have and other writers I've talked to have is it's kind of been the same process I use as what I've heard from other people in the planning stages. Is you generally have like an idea for a character, you have a couple scenes at the beginning, you have an idea for what the ending ought to be, and maybe a scene in the middle. So you've got like maybe, I don't know, a third of your scenes mapped out in pretty good detail and a good idea about the characters. And then the real part that I found to be a pain, and some of my other friends have said this as well, is like to connect those dots in a good way doesn't always work out. And you're almost kind of trying to fit sometimes a square peg in a round hole with like, oh, I really wanted this scene like this in the middle, but then I need him to get to here. To do all that and to maintain your kind of narrative flow how you want it to is kind of tough. And I think if you're the way it sounds like you're doing it, where you're just going one thing after another, would probably like, you have a big picture destination, but you probably would be able to sidestep a few of those things where it's like, yeah, this is cool and this is cool, but I don't know how I'm going to get this guy from here to here in a way that makes sense to do the next scene in the way I want it. And I think that's a little more of an honest way to write things. I think I've read interviews with Alan Moore where he kind of says the characters take over a little bit and kind of drive the story in that way, which seems like it might, it seems like it's working out for you. It's certainly worked out for Alan Moore, if that's truly how he does it. But yeah, that I think would let you get around some of the biggest problems I run into mapping out a story. It's just like, I'm kind of going a little bit ahead of what I should be, and then trying to work my way back and make it all make sense. That's a good point. Cameron Zotz is, yeah, you got to surprise yourself when you're writing to surprise the audience. That's definitely true.
Well, it's nice because I don't know what my character, Draven's going to say or what he's thinking. So I kind of like that. I always look forward to getting that back to see what he's thinking during that time or what he says back to her, because he's very sarcastic. So I do like that. I'm always surprised by what I get back. You think by now I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm always surprised.
Well, it's weird, when I'm reading about like how writers' rooms for TV work, it sounds like in a lot of ways that's how the process works. Like they'll have somebody that just does this character's dialogue. That's not unusual there. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody doing it like you're doing it in comics. I'm sure somebody does somewhere, but it does. I mean, it does make sense to do it that way. I think that's a good workflow setup. I think for doing something like this.
The unique personalities. Like my character, she's like me. She talks nonstop and barely thinks. And then you have Draven, who barely talks and thinks like all the time. Like he'll have like paragraphs. He'll go a whole issue without thinking at all in like a couple of lines. And then at the very end, he'll have like paragraphs of thought process as he's trying to, map out these feelings that he's having, especially in book 5 and all that. He's just nonstop thinking. So we do have a lot of thought bubbles. My letterer tried to do boxes. I was like, no, it's too impersonal. You have to do thought balloons. So we do have the retro thought balloons. But
I'm a big fan of those.
Yeah,
we should never have gotten rid of those. That was a huge mistake.
Yeah, only one person complained. They're like, that's so retro. And I was like, have you not seen our art style? We're like an 80s, 90s style. That's just how it is. So we liked it. I read comics in the 90s. I read, Ghost Rider and Batman and all that. So I love the 80s and 90s. And of course, my artist just happens to draw in that style, which we both realize. And we have been very complimented on the style. So
well, when Stephen King started writing, they did a Gunslinger adaptation in Marvel. I think it started in the early 2000s, and Jay Lee was drawing it. It was pretty cool. And he actually wanted, instead of just putting his name on it, he wanted to sit down and write the comics. And Marvel was like, yeah, awesome. We'd love for that to happen. And so he turned in his first draft, and they were thought balloons. Just he was writing a comic book to his credit. And they're like, dude, we don't really do that anymore. It's kind of retro. And he's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That was a great tool. Why in God's name would you ever throw that away?
Well, that's one of the best parts that I liked about novels is I want to get in the character's head. Sometimes I watch the movie and I'm like, what were they thinking? And then I'll go get the novel version so that I can see what the character was thinking at that point. So ours is kind of a movie comic novel because I've been told only by one person, but everyone seems to like the panels. Now, I don't write the panels. I write 3 to 5 panels and my artist turns it into like 20. So he does whatever he does. But I've been told by like a reviewer was like, you can have less panels. Like, first of all, I'm not the one that has to draw it. So if my artist doesn't mind drawing it, I don't know why you care. He's like, well, you can have less. And I was like, he likes to show every action. He goes, well, it's not a movie. And I was like, well, it's kind of a movie comic novel. So just enjoy it. I like the way he does the panels a lot. So.
As an artist, I'm a little worried when I turn the page in the script and I see that I've got to draw 10 panels, 8 panels, 9 panels, something like that. But it's not always true that the more panels. It really depends on how. Everything depends on how much your writer is willing to think this out visually and make it make sense. That's what the trouble comes in, is when they don't do that. But I like to add more panels just because if I have a panel description that's really complicated, has a lot going on, there's not a lot I can do to make that dynamic. Because I've got to, especially when it's like, well, this person's doing this and the background's that, this person's doing that, this expression is on their face. And like every new point of interest you add, you're really narrowing down the camera angles that you can pick. It makes it hard to make things look cool. So I'm very happy to split something like that up into 2 or 3 smaller panels, because it doesn't take a lot of time to get those ideas across. If I can take 3/4 of the things that's in a big panel description, put it in one big panel that I actually can make look cool, get those other ideas across in a previous panel or a smaller inset panel, I'd always rather do that. If a writer's cool with it. I usually ask before I do it, but that makes my life a lot easier. It's not necessarily true that the panel count is going to be really difficult or to add to it. Sometimes that makes it easier, depending on what you're being asked to do.
Yeah. So funny story. When we first started, I butt heads with my artist, not to say anything negative about him because he's amazing. It was mostly me. I didn't understand his process. I was used to giving my script to an artist and he just follows the number of panels. Like if there's 4 panels, there's 4 panels. If there's 8 panels, there's 8 panels. So I would give him I was doing 6 to 8 panels and he would come out with 12 panels. And then the ones I wanted was too small. And I was like, you're doing too much. So we fought about it for half the first issue we worked with. And I was complaining about it nonstop. My husband was like, you got to find somebody else. I was like, no, he's the artist. He's the one I wanted. It took months to find him and thousands of dollars. He's the one. So I finally realized that I had to compromise and lower the panel count. So I went from 6 to 8 to generally now 4 to 5. And then if he needs more, he adds more. And if he doesn't need to add more, he doesn't add more. And it kind of works out great for us because he gets the freedom of doing whatever he wants. And he does a really good job. So once I figured out that, it was smooth sailing from there. So it was a lot easier. He enjoyed it more, and it just worked out that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at his pages here, and this doesn't look to me like he's skimping out. I see a lot of comics, sometimes from the big 2, where it's you can really tell the artist was for whatever reason, whether it be time or because they wanted a cooler page to sell, is really cutting down the panels, making one panel big and dramatic, and maybe cutting out some of the story logistics. But looking at this is a pretty complicated series of images to convey. And I think he's doing a good job of that as far as just basic storytelling chops. So yeah, I'm always going to advocate for letting artists do what they feel like they need to do to get the story across, as long as they're getting all the information onto the page, the more flexible you let an artist be, I think you're going to have better results.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely worked out better.
Yeah. Very cool. That's and in fact, I saw a post from Patrick Zurcher I think he does like heavy metal now, but he used to do Superman and some Marvel, saying like writers really should just only give us 4 panels per page and maybe we'll throw more in. I thought I'd like to live in that world. I don't think it's going to happen, but
that's what I do. 4 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, and sometimes there is just 4, but there's never, because the first artist I worked with, when I said 4 panels, they would just do 4, same size panels. And then if he has 4, he does, different sizes and different, whatever so he definitely levels up whatever the hell I write. So, and this was his first paid job, first paid comic job. And he used to do portraits. And I didn't like his style. I said, he asked me if he could submit a page for free or whatever, and I was like, I don't like your style, but if you want to do one for free, because all of his stuff is realistic. He did realistic portraits of dogs and people, and I was like, I don't want realistic. And he came back in 24 hours with pencil inked, colored and lettered page with 5 panels, and it was awesome. I was like, you're hired. So it worked out great, and that was like the best thing that ever happened. So I really am lucky to have him. And that's one of the reasons why I'm getting so far ahead in my issues, because, well, 2 reasons. One, he quit his job to do my comic. So I have that sense of I have to keep going because I'm, paying him. But then I have the other side of it, whereas eventually he's going to be more popular and he's going to take longer than a month to do it. And I mean, if he takes 4 months, I got to make sure that I have 4 months worth, So I'm just going to keep going until he finishes the whole damn 200 issues by that time. So yeah, I sent my proposal to publishers in the beginning and they wouldn't even read it. They said, I think at that point it was, well, before I lowered the panels, it was a little less, but I think I told them I had 35 issues per series I just told them I have 35 for the series. And they said they won't even read the proposal because it's too long.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
They go no more than 3. I was like, screw you. And he's like, no, but you're never gonna get them all done. And I was like, well, we'll see. So I said, I'll do it myself. So we'll see how far I get.
Good. Well, in fact, I was just talking to somebody today on our Discord, like we're not talking, they were writing it. They were saying like they most, a lot of creators starting out now that really, especially if you have a story to tell that's unique, that's not exactly what somebody's looking for right now. It's like, why would you not go to Kickstarter first and maybe publish later on once you're done, if somebody wants to do it? And I think that's the way to go for a creator that's just coming into I didn't have any name when I started this, my books. Didn't have any, I had a couple published credits, but nothing of note. And I don't know why anybody would do anything different than what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't even read it. They were a little snotty about it. Actually, I kind of told them off slightly. He said, only 65% of the people read 2, and even less than that read 3. And then I said, well, then you have the wrong story. I was like, if people aren't even getting the issue 4, there's something wrong with your story. So hopefully people keep want to read, want to keep reading our story. They do. I do have pretty loyal readers. They really do like to follow along with the characters. They fall in love with the characters and they want to follow them to go on. I'm also really mean. I end everything in a cliffhanger, so that might help too. So
yeah. Absolutely. It looks like all the things you've got, like so many different things that are add-ons. You've got these 3D models you're printing out. You've got tons of those. You've got your plushies that we talked about. You've got some medallions, things like that. And are those things that kind of like help you keep going with the story and subsidize that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it helps. Because my readers definitely spend more. I mean, on average, people usually spend about 40 per, pledge or whatever. I did something new this time where I had it. If they spend more than 50, they get this this wooden, if you can see it, this wooden necklace.
Oh, wow.
And cord.
Where are you getting this now? You got all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, well, I only have 50 of these, so we'll see how that goes. And then I have if you spend over 100, you get that, and you get this painted coin, which the picture does not do justice, of course. But it's very shiny, and it's got 2 sides. You couldn't even see that, but yeah, Anubis is on both sides. So these are really unique. I don't have a lot of these, so it's as supplies last. But yeah, I love finding. I mean, I haven't put these up for sale yet. I have probably what you see is about 60% of what I actually have. So I have tons more that I haven't gotten to. I have new clay statues coming too. I sold out a bunch of those. We have the little Lego figures here.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I wanted to ask about that too.
Yeah, I haven't added the character ones. Anubis is on there. I'm trying to think of where all my little characters are. But
there he is.
Oh, here he is. Yeah. And yeah, so he has his own staff, his own little axe. Most of the axes face the other way. I don't know why this one faces the wrong way. So this one's mine. But then I have these guys, which is the Guardian Angel. Here is a little top hat. And then Seraphina and Draven, and they have their own little weapons. You see the swords and the dagger. And then we have another set where they have, I don't know if you could see him because I was stupid. I did him on black, but he's got the Anubis Croc shirt, and she's got the logo on her shirt. So I haven't put those up yet.
Do you have somebody? I know I've seen some places do, and it gets pretty high. I think like 50, 60, 70 bucks a figure, but it's basically somebody that does custom paints on pre-existing figures, but also does some really nice packaging for them of like characters, and there'll be like 2 or 3 per campaign. Is that kind of how you're getting those and like that necklace, that sort of situation?
I buy pretty much these things like wholesale because that makes it a lot cheaper. The figures, I saw a thing called mini figures, and you can just customize it, and I was just doing it for myself, and I was like, well, you get a deal if you do like more. So that's how I went up at all my stuff. It's a deal if you do more. So
we're gonna have to take down some notes and some
we want names on all these suppliers. When we're done here,
because we're gonna be working with all these.
Yeah, I mean, I love finding different.
What's awesome about this is because what Ben and I are trying to do with the Geek Collective is we're trying to create this creative solutions agency, right? Or this business where what we do is we help creators, create from concept to shelf and put everything out there, right? And things of this nature. We need people and suppliers that have that we can actually give people as resources, and maybe like a resource list. Hey, check this out. People have had success with these things in the past with this company, and things of that nature, right? Because that's what it's about. Which is the reason why I called it the Geek Collective, right? Because we're all together trying to do the same kind of thing and work towards the same kind of goal, is put our works out into the world, and we want to do it in any way possible, right? So a lot of different ways we partner with different things like that. And like just like Ben, we partner with Gemini mailing supply, so that we can give you guys a 10% off code, right? So if you guys go to GeminiMailingSupply.com, you guys get 10% off at checkout, because we are an official partner, right? We're trying to get them to give us 15% more to give you guys. So make sure you guys are checking that out and doing that, because this can save you guys some money. We are huge advocates. I know Ben is a huge advocate of using Gemini mailers.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. You get there and make sure you put in the code Geek Collective 10. We'll get you that discount. And we know people, like Joey used to say a few times, people end up if you get a lot of these, and save a couple $100 in some cases. So it's absolutely worth doing. And like I always say, it takes way too long to draw these things to send them out in a bubble mailer or something. So make sure you hit Gemini Comic Supplies and use that Geek Collective 10 code.
Corissa, do you use a Gemini or any kind of supplies, mailing supply?
I have them, but I don't really use them because I have a ton of merch.
Mm-hmm.
So
they go in a little bit bigger boxes.
I generally use. They actually are more expensive than Gemini, but they do help because they keep their shape. But I use these. I'm going to start using the Gemini for just the ones that are like single one issue, but not a lot of people buy just one issue. So It's a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
I do like that I could make these ahead of time
Mhm.
until I screw it up and I make them too big or too small, and I was like, damn it. So yeah, like the easiest one was when I did the
Mhm. But
hardcover, because I knew.
protecting your the goods that goes out, right? You want these people to, because you take care of these things. You
Oh
care
yeah,
about
all mine
them.
get gift wrapped before they go out.
Right?
So,
So
which is
that's the
funny
one
because
thing.
I never gift wrap Christmas presents, so I don't even know how that started. But I remember. So I was putting tissue paper in there. I was just putting them in there, and I didn't
Mhm.
feel secure enough, even though they were bagged and
Yeah.
cardboard. So I had to put tissue paper around, and then I was like, it didn't look nice, so I had to gift wrap it with tissue paper, and it just became a whole thing. So I'll regret it if I ever get up to 500 backers, but right now it's a lot simpler. So yeah.
So with along with all these great things that we offer, we do want to make sure that you guys know a little bit about what we do. So right now we want to talk a little bit about what we do, what we have going on, because right now we have a Kickstarter that is a pre-launch. Ben's got one as well. He's got a Zoop campaign in pre-launch as well. But right now we're going to talk a little bit about Archetypes, which is a geek culture magazine. And what's cool about it is it's going to have three never before seen comics from some really great talent. We got a spin-off series from a little, I think it's gonna be a sample of one of the series from Ben's stories. And then we're gonna have some work from people from Grandma Chainsaw, and our buddy who's in the chat, Kamazot's Comics. He's got a story in here called Mother Wolf and Cubs. So you guys are gonna make sure you're gonna want to check that out. We're gonna have some marketing tools, some tips about tips that you guys can actually use and implement into campaigns of talking about press kits. We also have a writer who goes on TikTok or on Twitter, and every single day they put out their writing tips for themselves and like daily affirmations and stuff, and so they put them out there on Twitter. And I found that they were actually really helping me and things of that nature. So I asked them to write a whole article about writing tips and the things that they've learned through that process of putting out daily affirmations about writing and writing tips and things that they learned that day. So we're going to have that in the magazine, and we're also going to have a handful of other really great stuff. We're going to have some people talking about some tabletop gaming stuff. It's going to be a really fun thing. We're going to interview Oneshi Press, and we're going to talk to them. We're going to ask them to explain themselves and let us know what's going on in 2024. So make sure you guys are checking that out. You guys head on over to geekcollective.net/archetypes, and that's going to go for pre-order campaign in mid-February. So that one's in. This is the gorgeous looking cover here. This is a cover by Omar Perez, which was done for our friend Kamazaki's Comics, who is Rafael Flores Jr. from Mother Wolf and Cubs. They were awesome enough to allow us to use this as the cover for our magazine. And then we were able to go ahead and dress this really nice, and that's a really gorgeous looking logo there from Ben. So but really cool stuff. We're going to be doing this really cool thing. We're going to be running that in February. We're hoping that this is going to be a really awesome resource and tool for the creatives out there. What we're hoping to do is we're gonna showcase something in the springtime, that for items that are going to be coming out in the summer and fall. So you have something tangible to read and look through, and have a little bit of a preview before you get to back something like that later on the year or the year coming. So, and we're hoping to do this once per year, and then maybe if we can sustain this thing, we can do it quarterly, and then help you guys out. And we will always be looking for people to showcase their stuff in the magazine.
That's pretty cool.
And so what we're gonna do, we're gonna try to we're gonna try to, if everybody can hit their deadlines, we're gonna get this thing printed before we even go to launch, so that when we do launch, the crowd, the funding goes to paying the contributors and to distribute the books and the items that go with it. So make sure you guys are following that. You head on over to geekcollective.net/archetypes, and this should be a really good thing for some creators out there, and just a fun thing all around. So check that out. Ben, tell us a little bit about your campaign that's going to be dropping.
So my next campaign is a sequel to We Are Scarlet Twilight. It's called We Are Scarlet Twilight Cobalt Crisis. It's basically if you had taken Secret Wars or Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it was created in the 1940s in the style of Golden Age comics. This is the comic you get. So it picks up the story that was in Scarlet Twilight 1 through 4, really expands the universe. You're going to see a lot more characters. You're going to see the villains from Scarlet Twilight that we kind of led into come back in a big way. So it's going to be really epic. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of great surprises. If you're a fan of old Golden Age comics, you may see some familiar characters. And just couldn't be more excited to start this one up this year. So
I think I see our friend there, Ace Falcon, right?
Ace Falcon is, he's right there, right in the right side of the page there. Actually, the first picture I drew of him.
Very cool. That's very cool. And Ace Falcon is going to show up in Archetypes. So if you guys get a little bit of a taste, you guys can read a little bit about Ace Falcon and his story in Archetypes before you check this one out. So make sure you guys are checking both of them out, and hopefully, and we'll probably be doing some cross campaign promotions and things of that nature. So depending on how they overlap and when they overlap, we'll run some really cool stuff where you guys can probably get some really cool extra stuff if you back both. We're going to be running some stuff with a lot of really cool creators. We have our friends that are doing Grandma Chainsaw. They have a book called At Horse and Hell. They're going to be dropping here in the same month. So we're probably going to be doing some cross campaign promotions with them as well. So there's a lot of really fun stuff that you guys can do this coming month with these two books. So make sure you guys are checking them out.
Absolutely. Head over to those pages, get in the pre-launch, and we should have lots more to share in the next couple months as we get closer to campaigns.
Yep. That's all I got, Ben. Can you let everyone know where they can find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Benjamin W. Morse, Instagram, same handle. And then, of course, every week here on YouTube for Explain Yourself.
Yeah, and you can find me at Joey Galvez 1984 everywhere. And please, Carissa, can you let everybody know? And make sure you guys are following all of us on Kickstarter. So make sure you just type in all our names. I'm sure that should pop up. Carissa, please let everybody know where they can find you.
So the easiest way to find me is to search Worthy Chaos on every platform. For Kickstarter, search Worthy Chaos with the only thing that pops up, though there's 9 of us because there's no, I've got a lot of campaigns. And there's already a pre-launch for issue 9, which has like 25. I haven't even told anybody. It already has 25 people on there. But I'm on Facebook, Carissa Grant. We have a Facebook group, Worthy Chaos, with about 700 members, and podcasters, commissioners, Kickstarters. Everyone can post their own stuff in there. Everyone gets super nervous doing it, and I get asked all the time, can I really post my Kickstarter? Yes, really post your Kickstarter or whatever you want. And then I'm on Twitter at worthy_chaos. And I'm just everywhere Worthy Chaos is. Wherever there's chaos, I am there.
That's a good catch.
Fantastic.
I'm going to use that now.
I want to make sure you guys know too that Geek Collective does sponsor a Facebook group called Indie Comics Probo. So, and you guys are welcome to go over there, and we have almost 200 followers now. But you guys are welcome to throw in all your good stuff. There's only a handful of rules that you should check it out and make sure you read through those. But you guys are more than welcome to add things in there at will. Read and check that out as well. It's a really cool resource to use to push your stuff as well. I don't think I've got anything else, guys. You guys got anything else, Ben?
That is all for me. I think we are good for this week, and we will see everybody next week here on Explain Yourself.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.